Welcome to Solutions Rising. I'm Rachel Branch, and I'm delighted to be speaking once again with the Auditor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Auditor DiZoglio. Auditor DiZoglio's work is extremely important, and each of us need to know just where our tax dollars are budgeted and where they are actually being spent. Welcome, Auditor DiZoglio, Diana.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for having me on again. It's a pleasure to be joining you here this morning on Solutions Rising. That's exactly what we do in the Office of State Auditor, where we help make government work better by identifying challenges in different state agencies and proposing potential solutions. So very fitting to be joining you here this morning and grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you. You were elected in 2022 as the auditor for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Prior to that, you served as a state representative from 2013 through 2019, and then as a state senator from the 1st Essex District from 2019 to 2023. Now, as our auditor, how have the last few years unfolded for you? And then we're going to get into some deep conversations.
Yes, well, look, I had the opportunity to serve in the legislature alongside of some really amazing elected representatives from across the Commonwealth and work on policy initiatives and budgetary initiatives to help the community that I was born and raised in, the Merrimack Valley. I hail from the great city of Methuen up on the New Hampshire border, and had the opportunity to work on those policy and budgetary issues for 10 years, 6 years as a state rep, 4 years as a state senator, and now I'm your state auditor. And I've been serving in this role for a little over 2 years, and have really had the opportunity to take what I learned in those 10 years of service and really put our best foot forward in the Office of State Auditor to analyze issues of importance regarding different policies in the Commonwealth, different laws in the Commonwealth, and different financial challenges in the Commonwealth, where we have been able to look at process, procedures, and programmatic effectiveness or lack thereof, and make recommendations for potential improvements. Something special about Massachusetts with your state auditor. I don't audit any of you, just FYI. I do not audit you, the taxpayer. I'm not the IRS. I am not the Department of Revenue. We do not audit people's personal finances. We actually audit state government for you. And something great about Massachusetts is that your state auditor here, which happens to be me currently, is elected by the people of Massachusetts as a constitutional officer who answers directly to you, the people. Your auditor does not answer to the chief executive of the state. So the governor does not hire your auditor. The auditor also does not have the ability to cut any programs or add anything to the budget, kind of like what you're seeing at the federal level right now with some of those cuts being handed down through the executive. Your auditor here in Massachusetts is elected in a democratic process by the people, and your auditor is able to produce reports to increase transparency and accountability to make sure that you have access to what's going on in state government so that you can make your own informed decisions. So the executive branch can make its informed decisions, the legislative branch can make its informed decisions, and we can all work together in a democratic process of governance to make sure that folks have access, transparency, and accountability across our state government. And it's been very humbling to have been able to serve in this role for the last 2 years. And we're, working hard right now in the Office of State Auditor.
Is your position living up to your vision and hopes for ensuring competency, clarity, and transparency as a Massachusetts auditor? And I believe...
Yes, in many respects, and great question, Rachel. In many respects, yes, we have been able to do some great work in the Department of Children and Families, for example, where we were able to do a really robust and comprehensive report that examined mental health services and gaps in mental health services for our most vulnerable children in this Commonwealth, those that are in the system, those who need access to behavioral health services, for example. And we found that they were not always getting access to counselors or therapists in alignment with what was required according to what they were being prescribed, and that their prescription drugs were not always being monitored correctly, and that they weren't getting the advocacy that they needed and deserved as children of this Commonwealth. So we wrote a very robust report. You can find that on mass.gov/auditor. And we also offered a set of recommendations that the Department of Children and Families could follow to better their systems. We also looked at elder affairs, the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, and we looked at how they could better improve their services for elders experiencing abuse and neglect. We found that elder abuse neglect cases were not always being reported correctly to district attorneys' offices the way that they need to be being reported. And we wrote a report about that. We've also looked at RTAs, regional transit authorities, and how they can better serve different regions who rely on bus services, for example, for public transportation, and looked at how persons with disabilities can get better access to services. And we've made recommendations for much needed improvements in those areas, things that you might not think about the Office of State Auditor really playing a role in. Because a lot of folks think, crossing T's, dotting I's financially speaking. And of course, we do look at financial aspects of different agencies. But our office does what's called performance auditing. We audit for programmatic performance, process, procedures to help make these agencies work better. That the mission of the office is to help make government work better. And we act sort of as public service journalists, where we look at issues, we then report on those issues, we put those reports out there to you, the voters, the taxpayers, and you are able to get access to that information so that you know what's happening, but also so you can be your own best advocate and advocate for changes that you believe need to be made regarding different issues or challenges in various state agencies and departments. The one area, obviously, Rachel, where we've been having a little bit of a challenging time, as you may have heard, the elephant in the room, so to speak, up on Beacon Hill, is with that legislative audit that we have been trying to work on your behalf, but we've been hitting roadblock after roadblock, even after the ballot initiative passed by 72% of the vote. Legislators are still refusing to comply with the law. Some legislators, most in the House actually, on my side of the aisle, unfortunately, ended up voting against following the law. And we're having a really hard time getting this implemented. So I will put that out there. Please advocate to your elected officials. If you were part of the 72% that voted for that audit of the state legislature by your elected auditor and our office, please keep advocating, because the law is being violated with respect to that particular audit still.
That's exactly why I wanted you to be a guest on Solutions Rising today. And that your first time as a guest, you came on because you were responsible for the intrinsic part of proposing the ballot question that was voted on in November 2024. And this is just astounding that you are having difficulty doing the audit of our legislators. So I would like to have you talk about that. And of course, we're in such dire straits in our country. Every elected official who is working to perform the jobs they were elected to do, it's just so necessary now. So please talk about implementing House Bill 4251 and why it's a heavy lift, and why and who is stopping you from auditing the legislators.
Happy to talk about the audit of the legislature. It is one of the reasons why I have been getting asked by a lot of folks to join them on their talk shows and radio interviews and what have you. A lot of people are concerned. Normally, the auditor's office does tend to fly a little bit more under the radar. It's not Even though it's thrilling for me and I love doing the work of the auditor in this office, it's not really something that people are that interested in, admittedly, on a Friday night while they're sipping their wine. um, and we're not really the most thrilling office usually. Again, even though it is incredibly important work, this has really risen to the level, however, of getting a lot of focused attention out in the public sphere, just by nature of the fact that you have the most powerful politicians in Massachusetts violating the law that you just voted for right now, which is incredibly disappointing, unfortunate, and deeply concerning on many different levels. Look, folks, we understand that audits are not really the most fun thing to go through. We get it. It's not fun when auditors walk in to these state agencies and ask for the books and ask for the documents and ask to look at these processes and procedures. But it is something that does serve residents of this Commonwealth. It's a part of our system of checks and balances here in the state of Massachusetts. Again, this is an elected seat. It's a constitutional office, and it exists to serve you. I am the people's auditor. I answer directly to you. So when you call our office and you want to let me know that you want us to look at certain things, we try to be as responsive as possible to you and make sure that we're looking at different areas of concern. And this is not something that should be viewed as an FBI-like investigation. We do not do investigations like that in these agencies. Our office is staffed with, you guessed it, auditors, accountants, CPAs, people that look at programmatic integrity, and they look at the quality of the programs that are being offered. And they do so not to try to find bad things. They do so to help to ensure that systems are functioning at their best, and to make sure that government is working at its best for the residents it's meant to serve. Audits exist to help. And if an entity, any state entity, department, or agency is refusing to comply with an audit by your elected constitutional office of state auditor, that is incredibly concerning. What would you be so concerned with our office finding? Again, we're not the FBI. We don't have the right to go in and toss desks or take people's cell phones or anything like that. We simply look at process, procedures, and those financials. And if folks are that scared of an audit, it really has to make us wonder what those folks are so afraid of us finding. Rachel, you have to understand, we've only asked at present for basic financial documents and state contracting documents that frankly are a matter of public record in most state entities who comply with the public records law. But because our state legislature also exempts themselves from the public records law, they have actually been able to hide these financial documents, these procurement processes and procedures, and these state contracts from being able to be viewed by the public. The documents that we have asked for, frankly, currently they actually should all be made available to the general public and not even just the auditor's office. If the legislature was subjected to the same public records law that they require every city and town to follow, for example, your mayors, your town managers, your select boards, your city councils, your school committee members, if they were subjected to the same rules and standards that they required municipalities to follow and other state agencies to follow and departments, these would be matters of public record that any resident could get access to. But they're refusing to even let the auditor's office look at those documents. Never mind all of you. So it's deeply troubling what's going on right now. Again, we've only asked to see basic financials and state contracts. And if they're hiding those documents from our office, they're also hiding them from you, the taxpayers, because anything that we audit, is subject to public records requests and is subject to review from you according to the public records law. So deeply concerning, deeply troubling. And we really need to be able to pursue court action on this front. The Speaker recently and the Senate President were at a press conference, and they said that they had no intention of pursuing an opinion from the Supreme Judicial Court.
Whoa.
Which, Rachel, I don't know
Whoa.
if you were aware of this, but it's something that not a lot of people had been talking about previously. But the legislature actually has the ability to seek an opinion from the SJC to get a determination about constitutionality, and they refuse to do so. And the reason why they refuse to do so is because the Speaker has said that he has his opinion and he's made up his mind about this. So why would he need to pursue a court decision on this? Essentially saying that, compliance is, he actually said this, compliance is in the eye of the beholder. And he was talking about following the law, saying that whether or not he complies is essentially up to him. That is unacceptable. The law needs to be respected. When a law passes by 72% margin of victory, it's incredibly, incredibly concerning that we have lawmakers violating the law. And I have been trying to take them to court over this to force compliance with the law. But unfortunately, I do have to go through the Attorney General's office in order to get access to the courts in my official capacity. And the Attorney General has refused to represent me up to this point, and will not take a position on whether or not lawmakers should follow the law. So please also call the Attorney General and ask her to support us in this, as it is required of my office that we do go through the Attorney General's office to access the court, and we do need her to represent us. And unless she's representing us in court, our court access and our right to an impartial hearing will continue to be denied to the taxpayers. This is an issue that is the people's issue. It's not about any one of us. It's about the 72% of people who voted for this. And we all should be doing our part as elected officials to respect the will of the voters and make sure that law is actually being followed.
There are two questions, and first is, how did the legislature get away with refusing the public records? How did they get an exemption from that? And the second question is, what capacity as Attorney General did she decide not to represent you when she is required to represent you? These are very, very chilling examples. And of course, things that are happening. And of course, what I see is part of the problem is part of the problem is entrenched politicians who won't get out. And that stops public representation. So those are comments I would like to have you comment on.
Yeah, great question. So the legislature, they formally exempted themselves in the law. They actually created an exemption within the language of the public records law that says that the legislature is exempt. Also, the governor's office is exempt, the judiciary is exempt, but all other state departments, agencies, and every single city and town is required to. So it's pretty hypocritical to exempt themselves from the same laws that they require everybody else to follow. And definitely that needs to be reviewed. Regarding the Attorney General's office, look, the Attorney General and I do have a disagreement about this. Unfortunately, the Attorney General is pretty frustrated with me at the moment because of my advocacy on this issue. I have been doing my best to raise awareness about the reality that we have not been able to go to court due to the fact that we are required to go through the AG's office, and the AG has continued to stall on this front, unfortunately, for lack of a better word. We have a right to access the courts. It's written into the governing statute for the auditor's office, but because the Attorney General is the attorney of record for all state agencies, the Attorney General is supposed to be representing our office. What my concern is that the last time we asked the Attorney General for support in auditing the legislature, and simultaneously presented over 100 audits that had been conducted of the state legislature by our office. Historically speaking, even though we demonstrated over 100 times that this had happened, setting clear precedent and said, we just want to be able to do our job on behalf of the people of Massachusetts. The Attorney General did come out with, I believe it was a 17-page or so, more or less, defense of the Speaker and Senate President's position against the audit. So the Attorney General is already on the record as having defended legislators against having to be audited in this way. And it was actually because of that decision that we had to go to the ballot at all. But we did. We went to the ballot, and I was so grateful to have received a lot of support in getting the signatures that we needed. We needed over 100,000 signatures in order to get this issue on the ballot. And thanks to all of you, we were able to get this on the ballot. And then you had a decision. You had the opportunity to say whether you wanted this to happen, whether you didn't want this to happen. And people came together across the political spectrum. The most progressive groups in Massachusetts endorsed this initiative, and the most conservative groups in Massachusetts endorsed this initiative. We had the Democratic State Committee and the Massachusetts GOP come together on this issue and both endorse this transparency initiative to audit the state legislature the same way other state entities get audited in this transparent process. And unfortunately, even though it passed by 72% margin with bipartisan support, with people from across the political spectrum coming together to join forces on this, unfortunately, what we're seeing is the powers that be up on Beacon Hill collaborating, it seems, to block this from happening. And I really am in need of your support still. If you're watching this today, please call your elected official, call your legislators, call the Attorney General, and call the governor as well. The governor does have a bully pulpit here and can put pressure up on Beacon Hill to do the right thing and to follow the law. Please call anyone who's working up on Beacon Hill and ask them to ensure that this law is followed. And then, of course, the Attorney General does have the right and the power and the ability and the responsibility to enforce the law and to make sure that the law is complied with by representing the people on this matter. And I will continue to ask that she do so by representing us in court so that we can make sure this law is followed and that you have access to how your tax dollars are being spent by the legislature right now.
I do believe in TAPE, what I call TAPE: transparency, accountability, protection, and enforcement. And I think the Attorney General has to explain why, as far as I'm concerned, she is not doing her job. I think those on Beacon Hill, the Speaker, and whoever else is stopping the enforcement of these audits are throwing a huge political roadblock in the way of what the people want, but also what they have a right to. So the question is, if you're stopping this, why are you stopping it? And from my perspective, it's like, what are you hiding? What is it that the people can't see about their tax money being spent? So I support you 100%. But yes,
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. And yeah, and I'll just tell you really quick, because I know we're coming short on time here, but the rationale that you will hear is that, well, they think it's a constitutional issue. And then the Attorney General will repeatedly state that she believes that she needs more information from me before she can make a decision. And respectfully, the Office of State Auditor does not have the power to enforce the law. I am not an attorney. And it is the responsibility of the Attorney General's office to enforce the law. The State Auditor's office is trying to do our part by auditing. And we really do need the Office of the Attorney General to do their part by enforcing the law that we are trying to follow. We've given as much information as we possibly can, certainly enough to allow the Attorney General to make a decision on whether or not she wants to support the people in this. But yet every, time we ask, it's essentially the same response that we get is that they're still looking at it. They still think they need more information. And, all the information that we believe the Attorney General's office need is that the law is very clear, and 72% of the folks in this Commonwealth voted for this. So, in terms of voters. So, we hope that we can get some support. We keep beating this drum and advocating. And again, hoping that the people come together in Massachusetts continually to make sure that we keep up the pressure for what we voted for to ensure that it actually is followed through on. And I just want to say a very humble and sincere thank you. It's been very challenging on Beacon Hill in recent months, especially. But I'm continually energized, Rachel, by people like you and people in our community who are helping us to continue this push for transparency and accountability, and just for our basic responsibility to follow the will of the people and the law as you asked us to do. So thanks for this opportunity. Keep in touch.
I will,
and
I'm
please
probably
visit our website to check out our audits. mass.gov/auditor is where you can check out our audits, and let me know if you have any questions. I'm at your service.
I expect to bring you back again in the very near future to go more in depth about the performance audits that you are doing. But I hope our program will help educate voters who might not realize what is happening on Beacon Hill, and that there's an Attorney General who's not doing, as far as I'm concerned, not doing her job. And thank you so much, Massachusetts Auditor Diana DiZoglio, for agreeing to again be on Solutions Rising. It's been a pleasure to be able to share your reservoir of information and experience with our audience. Informed and participating taxpayers are one of the essential requirements for good government, and your work continues to highlight that requisite necessity in the Commonwealth. And I'm very grateful. So thank you very much. And I expect to have you come back again, I hope, to Solutions Rising. And
Absolutely.
okay, take care.
All right. Thanks
be
so
in
much,
touch.
Rachel. Take care. Have a great day.
You too, thank you. And if each one of us picked up one problem and solved it, imagine the incredible view we would all have of Solutions Rising. Please be part of the solution. And I hope you will make a few phone calls to legislators that need to be moved. Thank you again, Massachusetts Auditor Diana DiZoglio.